PDP. The PDP had earlier in August listed Wike as a member of the party's campaign council for the Bayelsa governorship poll. A faction of the New Nigeria People's Party, the NNPP, loyal to the party's standard bearer in the last general election, Rabiu Kwankwaso, has reversed his suspension. The party's board of trustees, led by Boniface Aniabonam, had expelled Kwankwaso, a former governor of Kano State, over anti-party activities. Kwankwaso has been photographed alongside President Bola Tinubu on a few occasions in recent times. National Publicity Secretary of the party, Agbo Major, was also expelled by the faction loyal to Kwankwaso. A statement by the faction said Aniabonam, founder of the party, had been on suspension since August. In other news, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Malagi, says Nigerians will soon begin to feel the positive impact of the removal of petrol subsidy. The minister stated this on Tuesday when he received Governor Umar Bago of Niger State in his office in Abuja. Malagi said the decision by President Bola Tinubu to remove petrol subsidies for the good of the country. The minister further stated that the federal government has since saved money from the subsidy removal, which has been distributed to the state to cushion the economic impact of petrol subsidy removal. The minister also expressed confidence in the Tinubu administration to actualize his 8 priority agenda for the benefit of Nigerians.
Agree with me that the fuel subsidy that was removed is actually in the best interest of Nigeria. He has said repeatedly that the pain of that removal will be felt temporarily before the smile, the positives of it will begin to be seen. And I'm sure, Your Excellency, the tiers of government, especially at the state level, are already beginning to feel that. Within a short time, so much money has been saved, and part of that money is already being sent to states so that the difficulties occasioned by the removal of the fuel subsidy is already being subsidized, so to say. Grains, assorted grains have been sent to states, and we know that each state of Nigeria has received the sum of 5 billion naira in the first instance, and the FCT also got about 2 billion in the first instance. Now, Mr. President is aware that that is not enough, but is only the first necessary step that he has to take to ensure that this fuel hardship occasioned by the fuel subsidy removal will be cushioned. Mr. President is desirous of changing the face of Nigeria. He is desirous of ensuring that the economic turnaround of this country is achieved within the shortest possible time. He is also desirous of ensuring that the image of Nigeria that has taken some bashing over the years be restored, and this ministry is in the forefront of that.
In the meantime, the federal government has announced 825.8 billion naira as compensation for indigenes of the Federal Capital Territory (FCT) in Abuja to pave the way for the construction of the 4.2-kilometer second runway at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike made the announcement on Tuesday after a negotiation meeting with the Minister of Aviation, Festus Keyamo. Officials of both ministries and representatives of their agencies, as well as stakeholders from Jiwa, the affected community in Abuja. The 825.819 billion naira, according to the minister, is to incentivize the residents to vacate the community and seek their cooperation towards the completion of the 4.2-kilometer second Abuja runway project, originally awarded in 2022. Additionally, Mr. Wike declared that the FCT will construct a 5-kilometer bridge in the Tunga Madaki community and provide modern healthcare facility expected to serve as a temporary resettlement site for the indigents.
The total value of what we are paying is 825 million 819,000 naira. 825 million 819,000 naira for the compensation and settlement. We are going to construct Tunga Madaki Bridge, facilities that were provided for the community. The permanent secretaries of the Ministry of Aviation and that of FCT, Federal Capital Territory, the Royal Highness, the AMA Chairman, and the Commissioner of Public Complaint Commission will sign the undertaking in order of understanding between agreement reached between government and Jiwa community. And we believe by grace of God, if that is done today, and tomorrow the money is paid to them, the contractors will no longer delay. They have to move to the site immediately and commence work.
Elsewhere, the ad hoc committee of the House of Representatives approving alleged non-remittance and utilization of National Housing Fund from 2011 till date has summoned the Accountant General of the Federation, Oluwatoyin Made. The chairman of the committee, Dachan Baggers, made this known in Abuja on Tuesday. Mr. Baggers said the decision to summon the Accountant General was to get full information on deductions of National Housing Fund of Nigerian workers and remittance of same to the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, is also expected to appear before the committee on Thursday. One of the aims of National Housing Fund is the mobilization of funds for the provision of affordable residential houses for Nigerians.
I can outrightly say that you don't have the capacity to give us the information we want. You don't, because most of the questions, you can't even give us what we really need. In as much as you're the director of it, because from all my notes, where did I write this from? You said all these monies are with the CBN. Bank figure, all the bank figures you got from CBN. So this committee will formally invite and officially invite the Accountant General to appear herself, to give and to furnish this committee with all the information required in terms of deduction and remittance of the monies, 2.5% monies deducted from Nigerian workers. So the Accountant General is to appear on Thursday.
The National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, has distanced itself from comments by Ibrahim Wakili, its head of Communication Public Relations Department, that Yemi Kale was the worst ever statistician general of the agency. The management of the bureau took the position in a statement on Tuesday. On Monday, Kale, former statistician general of the Federation, faulted the new methodology used in computing a new job report that pegged the unemployment rate at 4.1% in the first quarter of 2023 and 5.3% in the fourth quarter of 2022. He said during his time at the NBS, the committee in charge of reviewing the minimum number of work hours to count as employed felt 1 hour did not make sense because the income generated within that time frame was not necessarily livable. Kale said he had refused to change the country's unemployment data gathering methodology because it contradicted the system Nigeria operates and did not make any sense in terms of providing the information that policymakers need. Responding to Kale's opinion in an interview, Wakili said times have changed and some Nigerians now earn from working for just 1 hour. The Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji Ojo, has charged agency heads to speed up the process of application and collection of Nigerian passports. Tunji Ojo was quoted as saying in a statement by the Chief Press Secretary to the Minister of Interior, Alao Babatunde, on Wednesday that Nigerians should not have to queue endlessly to get passports. The minister also noted that President Bola Tinubu had no interest in excuses, saying the agency heads must walk the talk as the country is at a critical point and in dire need of transformation. Tunji Ojo also underscored the importance of leveraging technology as a means to enhance efficiency and accuracy within the immigration and correctional services. Moving on, Vice President Kashim Shettima has called on stakeholders to ensure transparency equity and fairness in the distribution of fertilizers to farmers. He made the call on Tuesday when he met with Fertilizers Producers and Suppliers Association of Nigeria, FEPSAN, at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Shetima said President Bola Tinubu is passionate about reducing the cost of fertilizers for Nigerian farmers as part of efforts to achieve food security in the country. According to him, the president will be happy if the price of fertilizers collapses by 50% after the exercise. The vice president said the federal government is collaborating with some organizations, including the World Food Program, to ensure that beneficiaries of the fertilizer distribution exercise are the Nigerian farmers. During the meeting, which had the senior and junior ministers of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari and Sabi Abdullahi in attendance, it was disclosed that 33 metric tons of potash have been donated to Nigeria by a Russian company, Orachem Group, and United Nations partners. You're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. We'll be right back after this break. Please stay with us.
Born 16th September 1923, named Harry Lee Kwan and known as Lee Kuan Yew, he was often addressed by his initials of LKY. Lee Kuan Yew was a barrister and the first Prime Minister of Singapore between 1959 and 1990. Educated at Raffles Institution from 1936 to 1940 and the Fitzwilliam House between 1947 and 1949, Lee Kuan Yew established a highly effective and anti-corrupt governance system that midwives the transformation of Singapore into a high net worth income economy within a generation. He never hid his exception to Western mode democratic ideal, which he believed had not assisted developing nations to attain good government. Before his death on 23rd March 2015, the People's Action Party, which he founded, had used its political influence to establish the United World College of Southeast Asia to expand his economic ideas among countries that constitute the Asian tiger. Western Spring Television identifies Lee Kuan Yew as a major character in history.
The Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency has said the recent floods in Nigeria are not due to the opening of the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon. According to the Director General of the agency, Clement Nze, the development is due to flash floods, poorly constructed or lack of proper flood channels, and inadequate drainage systems across the country. He said these in a press briefing at the agency's office in Abuja on Tuesday, adding that even if the Lagdo Dam were to collapse, its impact would not go past Norman in Adamawa State. Mr. Nze said the dam has been closed at the moment, and while appealing for calm, he reminded that flood warnings had been given to states to be affected adversely since February. The NISA boss is also advocating the construction of earth dams on the tributaries of the Niger and Benue rivers and speedy action on the construction of the Kashimbila Dam in Adamawa State. He also clarified that the Memorandum of Understanding signed between Nigeria and Cameroon in 2016 does not require the Cameroonian authorities to inform Nigeria before the releasing of the water from the Lagdo Dam.
As today, there is no more water spill from Cameroon. It's normal environmental flow that maintaining as usual downstream. We have several rivers inside Nigeria that are pouring water into the Benue. Also in Cameroon that are downstream the Lagdo Dam. That even if they don't need to open their dam, those rivers in Cameroon downstream the Lagdo Dam, and also in Nigeria that are releasing water into the Benue River channel has been causing a lot of flood within that flank.
On the foreign scene, a group of Gabonese military officers appeared on television Wednesday announcing they were putting an end to the current regime and cancelling an election that, according to official results, President Ali Odimba won. According to reports, during the announcement, journalists heard gunfire ring out in the Gabonese capital, Libreville. While announcing the cancellation of the vote results, one of the officers said all the institutions of the republic had been dissolved. Meanwhile, the military officers, hours after announcing they had overthrown the government, said the Gabonese president is under house arrest and one of his sons has been arrested for treason. It came a moment after the National Election Authority said Bongo, who had been in power for 14 years, had won a third term in Saturday's election with 64.2% of the vote. Shortly after, army officers appeared on national television to say they had taken power, large crowds of people went on to the Boulevard Triomphal Omar Bongo, the main street of Gabon's capital, where they were waving green, yellow and blue Gabonese flags to celebrate the military takeover.
Peuple gabonais et garant de la protection des institutions avons décidé de défendre la paix en mettant fin au régime en place. À cet effet, les élections générales du 26 août 2023 ainsi que les résultats tronqués sont annulés. Les frontières sont fermées jusqu'à nouvel ordre. Toutes les institutions de la République sont...
And elsewhere, Russian mercenary chief Yevgeny Prigozhin, who was killed in a plane crash 2 months after staging a short-lived mutiny, was on Tuesday laid to rest in a secret ceremony in his native St. Petersburg. He was believed to have been buried at the Pokrovskoye cemetery amidst heightened security after his firm said a private ceremony had been held for the warlord in a closed setting. At the burial site, mourners left a framed excerpt from Nature Mote, a poem by Soviet poet and Nobel laureate Joseph Brodsky, which contains the words, "Dead or alive?" Prigozhin's press service only said that a private ceremony had been held for Prigozhin, who held the title of the Hero of Russia, the country's top honor, at the cemetery located on the northeastern outskirts of St. Petersburg. Ukrainian officials pointed to the secrecy surrounding the ceremony, suggesting that the Kremlin feared possible protests. Russia said Ukraine launched drones against targets in 6 Russian regions, including an attack on an airport in the western city of Pskov, where military transport aircraft were reported damaged amidst explosions and a huge fire. In what could be the biggest drone attack on Russian territory since Moscow's full-scale invasion of Ukraine last year, Russia's defense ministry said on Wednesday morning that drones were also shot down over the regions of Orlov, Bryansk, Ryazan, Kaluga, and the Moscow region surrounding the Russian capital. The city's mayor, Vitaly Klitschko, wrote on the Telegram that Russia also launched a missile and drone attack against Kiev on Wednesday morning that was described as the most powerful strike on the Ukrainian capital in months, leaving 2 people dead and 1 wounded. According to authorities, Ukrainian air defenses destroyed more than 20 missiles and drones involved in the attack. 2 security guards were killed by falling debris. In Asia, India says it has launched a strong protest with China over a new map that lays claim to its territory. Indian media have reported that the map shows the northeastern state of Arunachal Pradesh and the disputed Aksai Chin Plateau as China's territory. It was released by China's Ministry of Natural Resources on Monday. India's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bakshi said the country rejects the claims as they have no basis. He added that such steps by China only complicate the resolution of the boundary question. India's protest comes days after Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping spoke on the sidelines of the BRICS summit in South Africa. Now to some business stories. Nigerian stocks gained on Tuesday as the All-Share Index ASI which measures the overall performance of equities, hit its highest level ever. The ASI of the Nigerian Exchange Limited rose by 0.51% to 66.490.34% basis points from 66.151.38 recorded the previous day. The new record also surpassed the high of 66.371.2 basis points set more than 15 years ago on March 5, 2008. Additionally, the market capitalization saw a remarkable increase, closing at 39.69 trillion naira from 36.21 trillion naira on Monday. As measured by market breadth, market sentiment was positive as 34 takers gained relative to 32 losers. Business tycoon Tony Elumelu has applauded some of the economic decisions taken by President Bola Tinubu, saying the private sector is encouraged by the decisions. Speaking after a meeting with the president at the presidential villa on Tuesday, the founder of Tony Elumelu Foundation said he believes that with time, Nigerians will benefit from the decisions taken. He said the private sector is encouraged with the bold decisions President Bola Tinubu has taken. Elumelu, however, called on Nigerians to have a bit of patience with the present government, saying Rome was not built in a day.
The private sector is encouraged with the bold decisions President Bola Tinubu has taken, and we hope that in the fullness of time, Nigerians will benefit from it, because it's all about Nigerian people, it's all about youth, it's all about making sure our women are involved and empowered, it's all about making sure our youth get jobs, and I think Mr. President has this at the back of his mind, and I believe as a private sector person that the actions and decisions the president is taking now in the long run will help our people.
What specific area?
A bit of patience, Rome was not built in a day.
Elon Musk on Tuesday lifted the ban on political ads put in place at Twitter to thwart misinformation before the billionaire bought the platform now called X. Welcoming back potentially misleading political messages at X came less than a week after former President Donald Trump posted there for the first time since January 2021. Trump posted his police mugshot after his arrest in Georgia, signaling his return to a platform that was his favorite bullhorn during his years in the White House. Musk, who bought the platform last year, reinstated the former president in November 2022, but Trump stayed away, choosing to reach his followers on his own platform, Truth Social, albeit with a much smaller audience. X said in a blog post that allowing political ads, starting in the United States, was building commitment to free expression. X policies prohibit promotion of false or misleading information, including bogus claims intended to undermine confidence in an election, the blog contended. Now to sports. Manchester City striker Erling Haaland scooped the PFA Players Player of the Year award on Tuesday after a stellar first season with the treble winners. England and Aston Villa star Raquel Daly won the women's prize, voted for by fellow players. Organized by the Professional Footballers Association, the awards salute the best male and female players in English football in 2023. Haaland enjoyed a stunning debut season for City, hitting 52 goals in all competitions as Pep Guardiola's men won the Premier League, the FA Cup and the Champions League. The 23-year-old saw off competition from teammates John Stones and Kevin De Bruyne, as well as from Arsenal pair Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard and former Tottenham striker Harry Kane, now at Bayern Munich. Saka was voted the men's young player of the year, while Chelsea's Lauren James picked up the women's award. Hange Postecoglou suffered his first defeat as Tottenham Bows as Fulham won 5-3 on penalties after a 1-1 draw in the League Cup's second round on Tuesday. Postecoglou had masterminded an encouraging start to his first season in charge of Tottenham, with successive Premier League wins against Manchester United and Bournemouth following a draw against Brentford. But the former Celtic boss set the price for making 9 changes to his starting lineup at Craven Cottage. Postecoglou handed a full debut to Monon Solomon, while Giovanni Lo Celso and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg started despite speculation over their futures. And before we end the news, here's a recap of our top stories. The All Progressives Congress, the APC, has made a U-turn on Tuesday and disowned campaign council list it earlier released ahead of the November 11, 2023 governorship polls in Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo State. A faction of the New Nigeria People's Party (NNPP), loyal to the party's standard bearer in the last general election, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, has reversed his suspension. And on the foreign scene, a group of Gabonese military officers appeared on television Wednesday announcing that they were putting an end to the current regime and cancelling an election that, according to official result, President Ali Bongo Ondimba won. You can follow us on all our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. And that ends Spring News at 12. I am FEMI Ojo. Thank you for watching. Good afternoon.